The Infancy. The visit of the wise men from some region at the east of Judea is one of the remarkable and yet most mysterious events connected with the birth of Jesus. There have been many inquiries and speculations concerning the character and coming of these seekers after the newborn child, but all that is essential to be known is doubtless implied in the narrative. They were in some sense representatives of the world, bringing a welcome to the Savior, not only the Jews, not of the Jews only, but of the whole human race. Now, all spiritual teachers were saviors in that they allowed us an opportunity. Now, did they save us vicariously? That's generally not what they said to think. But Gentile, heathen, pagan, stuff like this is not really appropriate, or calling people infidel just because they believe something different than you. They certainly have the fidelity, just not to what you say. They represented more than the Roman Empire, for they evidently came from beyond its limit. The title applied to them in the original record indicates that they came from the banks of the Tigris and Euphrates, or where astronomy was early cultivated. Actually, it goes way back further, and where the prevailing had taken on the form of worship of the heavenly luminaries. Now, all over Europe and Asia, this sort of stuff appeared way before what we think was the cradle of civilization. There were doubtless among such worshippers some who still cherished, amid the corruptions of their religious traces of the one God, the Father of lights and spiritual conception of the truths of the primal revelations. Yeah, something remained. And a lot of people saw the various god forms and all that as symbolic. We see in India, we see in ancient Egypt, there's evidence that people understood some of these things, that the stars and that stuff, and other things like this, that there was, that they weren't the God, that something else was, This would seem also to be implied in the star given for their guidance. This unquestionably was a supernatural light, attracting the attention of those whose expectation of a coming deliverer had already been excited by other means, for we have abundant evidence from the authentic secular history that a widespread impression, both in the Roman world and beyond its limits, affected a certain class of persons, vaguely and indefinitely. It is true, but still really, that a remarkable personage was about to appear, born somewhat in the east, and by many, as by these wise men in Judea. Whether this had come from the Jews dispersed far or near among the nations, or from the influence of the Spirit of God operating upon the minds of the more devout among, I'll just say the nations, because heathen and pagan are material culture references, not religious definitions. If you look at the Greek and Latin terms, are, as is more likely by those by both these causes, the facts seem well established. The Magi, guided by the star, they were called magus because they, unlike religious communities like the Jews, everyone was skilled. Your 17 gathas and your 5 times a day prayer and little and blessings and stuff like that. So you could rule your own spiritual life. This was really weird to people, although this is what all the prophets came for, right? To put the power in the hands of the people. The Magi, guided by the star, had come to Judea and already had the conviction that the newborn child was a royal personage, and that the King of the Jews at Jerusalem. Examination of the written prophetic revelation showed that the Messiah was to be born at Bethlehem, and thither, still guided by the celestial light, they resorted and found the young child. The gifts they presented indicated that these foreigners were persons of very great distinction and wealth. They also imply not only homage given to a royal personage, but offerings to divine being, which also coincide with the worship spoken of. Like the Roman rulers were worshipped. A lot of it was just token because, like, people thought they had to, and sometimes did have to. Ages before, a prophet from the same region had predicted the Messiah by the sign of the star that should arise out of Jacob. Jacob, Yaqub, And while these sages watch the heavens with the reverence of worshippers, it pleased God to use their own ideas as the source of new light. And prophet after prophet, actually, there was something in even those shirking from monotheism in their star worship and other stuff that people around noticed and interpreted as something happening with this individual often enough. Luke 2, 8 through 38, Matthew 2, 1 through 18, to whom outside of the family and by whom was the first announcement of the birth of this child? How was the announcement made? Luke 2, verses 8 through 14. What did the shepherds do and what did they find? 15 through 18. What presentation in the temple? Luke 2, 22 through 24. What was the law concerning the offering on such occasion? Leviticus 12, 6 and 8. Why did the mother of Jesus bring the 2 doves or 2 young pigeons instead of a lamb? Simon's meeting with the child and his previous revelation concerning it, Luke 2, 25 and 26. His utterance concerning the character of the child, 29 through 32, 34 and 35. Still in chapter 2 here. The greeting of the aged prophetess Anna, 36 to 38. I don't know which word for prophet we're using here. There may be some connotation. What do these prophetic declarations indicate concerning the character of the child? This is the wise men, Matthew 2, 1 through 12. From what region are they supposed to have come? See the introduction. About how far? Probably from Palestine. Was there any expectation outside of the Jewish race of the advent of a mysterious royal and divine person? There were national prophets, but whoever went through, they were to accept the guidance too, right? It's not, oh, you're the wrong nationality or you're born from a different family, so this is, no. Some spirits do that. Sounds like some spirits favor certain races, or maybe they favor a person, and because of that they favor a race or something, but, was there any expectation outside the Jewish race of the advent of a mysterious and royal divine person? I think there still is. They're all over the place. There's expectations like that. What guided them in their search? Fulfillment of prophecy in this coming. Isaiah 60, verse 3. The arrival at Jerusalem and the inquiry there. Excitement of the people and Herod's jealousy, lest his authority might be disturbed, examination of the prophetic records by the priests and the scribes, and the decision that the predicted Messiah must be born at Bethlehem, Herod's strenuous and hypocritical charge of the Magi, the finding of the child by the strangers who bestow gifts and offer worship, 9 through 11. What does the character of the gifts brought indicate concerning the condition of the bringers? What do their offering and their worship show? See the introduction. The wise men warned and Herod baffled. Verse 12. So 9 through 11, 12. Are we still in Isaiah here? No, that doesn't sound right. Matthew 2. Oh, we're seeing different sections of this.